Still do 7 NUFC Matters shows for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications options. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatters1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. When it came to me after so long, I didn't have no choices in the streets where I was from. When I think about the pain, I didn't have no choices. I took what I had sworn. Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. But you know, they wouldn't let you have it any other way. Stepping back from what you lack, the past just pulls you back in again. Save me from myself, it just carries on, just carries on.
Good evening, welcome along to NUFC Matters. It is the start of another week, which means it's the start of the Fans Forum. Good evening to George, to Darren, to Martin, to Jeff, to Adam, to Allan, to Kevin, to Pablo, to Chloe, and to you at home. And here we go. Over to you, George, to start off with. Newcastle United 2, Brentford 3. Disappointing weekend, unfortunately, for Newcastle. Capped a disappointing week after exiting the Carabao Cup. But focusing on the Brentford game, mate, what went wrong?
Well, everything, didn't it? I don't want to go too hard on individual players, but there was some on Saturday which, as an overall game, if I want to express my disappointment, that's the worst 90 minutes since Bruce was here, in my opinion. We've not played as bad as that since we played Bruce ball. We had first half, we played with 10 men. We had a centre forward who existed in no man's land. He wasn't anywhere in the press. He didn't challenge the goalkeeper. He wasn't pressing the defenders. He was just absolute. I'd not looked at the statistics to see how many touches he had, but it would have been embarrassing. I know it would, because it was embarrassing sitting watching it. And in some ways, I'm criticising him, but then I'm going to criticise people higher up in the club if we're not supporting Eddie Howe properly. And it's time it was said and said loudly, because I'm not going to jump on the Eddie Howe bandwagon at all. We've made that mistake before with Bobby Robson and with others who went far too soon simply because of a knee jerk. And that shouldn't happen to Eddie, but the chief executive had that interview on Talk Sport and came out with, it was the right thing for him to do, but the wrong message. Sorry, buddy, we've heard it all before. What was new? What was he telling with it was new? Absolutely nothing. But the one thing he did say, which infuriated me, was still assessing Wissa's injury because it was so serious. Well, what the devil's he doing playing in the first team on the pitch if you're still assessed an injury? Are you not doing more damage? He that's not a message from a manager. That was a message from the CEO. So what is he saying things like that for when that's the last thing we need to know? And I suspect it was the last thing that Wissa needed to know as well, because Saturday was just a nightmare. And there's other general things that upset me about the team at the moment, and I'd be interested in Kevin's outlook on this. For years and years, and I'm sorry it's a history lesson, but one of the things that I can remember from even teachers at school who took the football team to the coaches at St James's Park was, you always keep your eye on the ball. Where's the ball? You'd hear him shouting from the touchline, watch the ball, where's the ball? And on Saturday, the number of times, and not just Saturday, other matches as well, the number of times that Barnes, Murphy, Wissa, and a couple of others, when Pope was getting ready to take a goal kick, they weren't looking at the ball at all. They were just looking anywhere. And several times, I don't know if you lads can remember, Barnes twice at least got long balls played across from the other side to him, and it went over his head and out into touch. It went over his head because he wasn't prepared. He was on his heels instead of on his toes waiting for it. And that was because when the ball left the other player's foot, he wasn't watching the ball. And all of that's symptomatic of me of just a general malaise inside the team. And I've got to say it, somewhere on the training ground as well. Something massively gone wrong, in my view. However, at the end of the day, Eddie's got to do what he do with what he's got. But the lack of support he's had from higher up is woeful. This window, to say that we, to come out of it without absolutely anybody, to me was nothing short of a disaster. So I if I go further, I'll start to pick on individuals, and I don't particularly want to do that. But as a team, that's as bad a performance as I've seen for 90 minutes since Bruce was my manager. So there's something seriously wrong. However, I do think that where the senior players have rallied round and said, well, it's on us, it's not on Eddie, is quite interesting. But I hope that they show it the next time they put a black and white shirt on. And to see young Hall lying prostrate at the end of the match on the pitch, crying his eyes out because of the way the game went, was soul destroying. And they're all looking at so-and-so's getting transferred here, so-and-so's going back to Italy, Livramento's going to Manchester City. I'm telling you now, if I was there, I'd be getting a contract ready for Lewis Hall, because left-footed players generally are very hard to find. And if I was a manager somewhere in the Premiership, I'd certainly be looking at Lewis Hall as a number one candidate. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if he didn't go to the World Cup as well. So yes, Steve, a very disappointing Saturday weekend. But as always, I'm still positive, greedy little monkey. I know top two is going to be hard to get this year, but we'll have to do with something else. And I'm sure I heard Eddie in my sleep saying we're concentrating on the European Cup. Well, that'll do me, Eddie. Let's have a go at the European Cup.
Still in the FA Cup as well, of course, George. We've got the big game at the weekend, of course, away to Aston Villa. I'll be travelling down to Spurs tomorrow, so got to get back on the winning track in the Premier League, though, Darren, after that result yesterday.
Mate, it was a hard watch. I told George I need to go and buy a bottle of Coke every day at his house until we start winning, because the paint of the Coke's not working. But about the match, it was boring. I know I said on Saturday, I think I mentioned Eddie out. That's probably still a bit performance, but I don't want to see Eddie get sacked. But if you watch the players, they're not playing for him, because There was no spirit there, was it? Do you know what I mean? There was no morale.
No.
We spent £100 million on 2 striker who's been a flop. With that, he's not great. Baltimore, it's just a know what to do, does he? Lewis Hall was man of the match. What's worrying though, how easy we're conceding goals. I know George said in the past we've got the 2 centre half, the left back and the goalkeeper. I'll tell you what, the goals are going in thick and fast. We've conceded nearly 10 goals or possibly more in the last 3-4 games. So our defence is not the greatest. So when that got out in the formation, the teams know how we play. It's hard to be positive, but it's worrying how we're getting beat easily. Brentford's a good team, and I didn't take them lightly. I said lucky 1-0 if we were lucky, but I did fancy them to win. That's just how we're playing in the minute. Like, and he did change at half time. I will give him credit. He did change. He went 4-1-1. So he didn't just play the same formation. He did try and he did change it. But the only thing I did question him in the last 5 minutes, again, be 3-2. You've got a young striker called Sean Need on the bench, and he's bringing on Dan Burn left back. I'm sorry, you need a goal. Why is he not to bring another striker on to get more options up front? You take Paulie Barnes up and put Zura on the left and Sean Need up front. That baffled me a little bit. You want to rescue the game, get a point, or go for the win. But point when you get beat 1-0, it just brings on Dan Bill and put him left back. Why bring Dan Bill on? You need a goalman. If you bring another striker on, he's on the bench. Now we're getting beat, but at least we're going to get beat trying. That knocked me on Saturday, really did. I know, like, some of the pieces that he's been given the last couple of days have just been horrific. You can't forget what he's done for the club. He turns around. I know what he's done. It's our high expectation because of what he's done for Newcastle. But we may have to take a hit this year, then go again next season. How it looks. And at the start of the season, I did predict 56 points, and I said 9 for 8. So up to now, I think I'm on par. And I think Pablo said he had 9-2 the same as me, but I don't know how I'd be with the points, but I did say at the beginning of the season. So I'm not going to be massively negative, and you can go around criticising players and how they play. That's down to the players. It's not rocket science. You don't need to be a coach or a manager. But that's down to the players, how they played. They've got to up their own tempo and how to play better. Trippier was probably the worst player on the field. Was Trippier. He was probably the worst player. His set pieces and his passing was absolutely shocking. His legs are gone. But that's the only player I'm going to call out. But I can go around all the 3, but I'm not, because we've got to bounce back somehow and go down to Tottenham and fight for the club, fight for the shirt. So that's me right away, Steve.
Okay, good stuff, Darren. Martin, what's your feelings, mate, after that dismal performance? It was a poor performance.
Yeah, I think, look, I think the lads are right, and I think we all need to maybe steer clear of individualising players. I think it was across the park. It was a poor performance. I think Darren made the point. I think it was actually quite horrific, as George said, to see Hall down on his knees, with Bruno going over to him at the end of that, because the kid doesn't deserve it. He didn't deserve to be with the other 9 or so players that were on that pitch on the weekend, because he was a yard above them. I think, that we're just so easy to play against. We're so easy to play through the middle. We're so easy to have other midfields break through our 2 lines and come up with the ball. And that hasn't and doesn't seem to be changing. I mean, there was one of their goals where I think it was Ataru literally breaks through, and now midfield just lets him walk straight past them. Doesn't track back, doesn't get near the player, doesn't even in his recovery run get anywhere near tracking that player. But that for me is unforgivable. Now, there's an argument, and I've had it on Twitter the last few days because I've been quite vocal. Lads are going, well, do you know what? The players are tired. Oh, fuck off, lads. Don't give me that nonsense. We're the club that said, you know what? We want to be in every competition. We want to be in Europe. We want to be in the Carabao. We want to be in the FA Cup. We're in all 4 up till last week, and now we're going, it's a lot of games, lads, isn't it? We're really tired. Well, you know what? Next season, we might only be in 1 competition by midway through. We certainly won't be in Europe at this rate, so we won't have that complaint. But, George, I don't know, maybe, and Kev, you're a coach. When I played the little bit of ball that I did play when I was coached, it wasn't about keeping your arms down, but it was about making the ball do the work.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. We don't make the ball do the work. We can't pass 2 yards to each other without losing it or just pinging it into the air to Walter, who, when he plays, lads, he's not a striker. He's a 10. Watch when he plays for Germany, he plays central through to the left or from the left coming in the way that Germany is set up. He's not a striker that wants it lumped up to block it on his head. If you look at him when he's dropped back and he gets ball to feet, he's probably been one of the better players that's dropped back to midfield to hold up a play. But we're not utilising that. We're just playing the same ball and the same routine. So, look, the game on Saturday or Sunday was a disaster. We'll go again tomorrow. The biggest concern I've got, yes, players will come back. Yes, we've had injuries. But I don't want to hear this whole, we're tired. These are lads who train. They play ball for millions of pounds a year. I'm not buying this, we want to be in everything, but now we're too tired. I'm sorry, I don't want to hear it. And then the other thing I don't want to hear is I don't want to hear players coming out and going, oh, we're really sorry about that performance. Shut up, lads. Go out there and prove me wrong. I've been dead vocal about how and what I think. But you know what? I'll roll back on that. And I'll give the guy some credit from his press conference the other day. Because for the first time, I seen a guy that sat in front of the press that fielded questions who was visibly hurting, who was visibly worried and visibly in awe of what was going on around him. So for that, I give the guy 150% credit. Do I want to see him sacked? No, not really, but I want to see him change it. I just want him to make it better. He's done it for 3 seasons. Can he do it again? I bloody hope so. But I just don't know. The proof is in the pudding for me. I think, I have been negative the last while, and I'm going to try and ease back from it because it isn't good for the health. And people do deserve credit where it's due, including players who are in form, out of form. The one thing I'll finish on is that the club this season have let the team and the supporters down massively. To get in to this window with the players that we had and the injuries we had, to not sign anybody, not even look at the loan market, for me, was inexcusable. Inexcusable. Even if you got a couple of loans to bolster the defence or a midfield and you had a couple of options, the options were out there. There were options in the Prem, there were options in Europe, and we didn't bother. So we can't sit and then blame ourselves and go, we don't have the depth. That letdown, George made a point about the CEO, Hopkinson. Again, shut up. I don't care about 2030. I care about 2026. I care about now, and I care about the season. And I care about the club. So again, the proof is in the pudding. We didn't have a sporting director. This is a hangover from the summer of turmoil with Isaac, and we have never recovered. We haven't recovered. And we should have done something in January. We should have, and we didn't, and we've been let down. And Howe's been let down. And I appreciate that. So now is the time to back that up. We got what we've got. There's no more players until whatever. We've got to get players back. But I tell you one thing, the one thing I want to see tomorrow night against Spurs, all this talking needs to stop. I want to see leaders on that pitch. Who are the ones who are pulling up the socks of the lads around them that are not performing? Because I can tell you one thing, if Shearer was in that team and there were lads not performing, he'd let them know about it. And so would a few other bloody players that we've had in the time. And Bruno cannot be everywhere. He's been out the last 2-3 games. Who's the man on the pitch that's going, this isn't fucking good enough, boys? Because I'm not seeing it. And I want to see it from tomorrow. Because I've had enough of it. That's me.
Good stuff, Martin. Thank you. Jeff.
Oh, hi. Yeah. Wow. There is so many, but when we have a bad game, I feel really under pressure to think of funny things to say. And I couldn't really think of anything funny to say, really, because lots of things went wrong. Partly it's because, if I'm being serious, they know the way we play, right? And teams are learning to play against our press. We all know the problem. If you've got a high press, you've got to get back. We've got to be able to do this, do that, and various other things, which we're not doing very well. And as people were saying, not looking at the ball, blind passing. I do actually think the range of our passing is very good. I disagree. And I think we're quite fluid in our positions. I mean, people do move and, cover other people's players. You find that Miley's at the back, etc., etc. It's not quite as, as simple as people make out. Right. It was good to see us in black and white. These other kit we've been wearing, it seems to be mostly white for some reason. And I rather, don't like that. Their tactic, the reason Hall looks so sad is they're kicking it down our left. That is the way everyone seems to go. Kick it long down our left. Right. I wanted to say something about Henry being named after a vacuum cleaner. I thought Pope's saves and distributions weren't bad. I thought he kept us in the game, to be quite honest.
Oh. We didn't get the third goal, did he?
You can't get everything.
The third goal went straight through him.
Yeah, well, he's not. Well, who is going to save these goals?
Well, Nick Pope should have hit the third goal. Went right through him.
Right, and the other thing, on a technical level, what we've also lost the ability to do is to receive the ball, turn and shoot. Right, back to goal, turn and shoot. Right. Because quite a lot of the time, the defender is expecting you to turn and is on one side or the other. I can remember Shola being able to do that. I mean, I'm going to say even Shola could do that. Right.
Big statement, that.
There was an awful lot of shithousery going on, and and when you looked at their attacking play, a lot of it was very aimless, I thought. They were, because we're quite good at occupying space, they were just back and forth in front of us. Yes, okay, right, the transfer window. Unfortunately, there are people in the local newspapers, no names, whose job it is to write 200 words a day on our transfer business, right? Whether we're doing anything or not, building up various expectations. And, we're not quite sat there with our little bell and our buzzer waiting for midnight anymore. But it's, where has all this transfer business come from? It's imaginary, right? It just leads to, it undermines faith in the club and, Eddie isn't getting this and Eddie isn't getting that. So a lot of it's made up. And I've heard people worrying about the training ground now. Don't worry. Santa's real. He's coming. You know what I mean? We need constant reassurance that, they're not pulling out, right? They've decided to buy Sunderland instead, and we're selling Bruno to, Middlesbrough. It's just constant negativity, and most of it's nonsense. And I actually believe, and my last point would be, is that Dan Burn is an attacking option. Yeah, I regard him as an attacking option. He's got quite a few goals. And the other thing is, it's a good product. It's a good product. I mean, it was an exciting game for the neutral. It was miserable as hell for the rest of us, but it was an exciting game for the neutral. And that's ultimately, it's a good product.
Jeff, can I just say that's probably the most intellectual 4.5 minutes of football crack I've had from you since you joined the platform. Well done, Jeff.
Yes, I'll put it down to these painkillers.
I'll put it. Well done, Jeff. You've tried your best, lad, and I'm very impressed. So well done, mate. Not one political statement. Yeah, well done, mate. We'll come back to you later for a prediction for tomorrow night's game. Chloe, welcome to the Madhouse. What was your take on the game at the weekend?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with anyone. I think what frustrated the fans the most, again, it wasn't the result. It was just that second half feeling that no one wanted the ball. And then despite players like Bruno and Hall, again, we said they gave it absolutely everything. I thought Hall was very positive every time he got the ball, and Bruno trying to, get the team forward and driving play, showing leadership and comforting Hall at the end. They couldn't have done any more. The second half, again, just no one wanted the buggle. Everything became static. Again, Wizza made no runs the second half, almost no runs. And as a fan in the ground watching, it's just the most frustrating thing isn't losing, it's just losing without a fight. I thought the impact when Asula came on, you could definitely feel the difference, and the energy shift is what had been missing the second half, the movement, intent and the urgency. And when you've got players like Hall, Bruno and even like Asula showing that hunger, it just makes you wonder why that level isn't consistent across the whole squad. I thought the two VAR penalties, they were probably justifiable, but they hugely influenced the momentum of the game. For Brentford, they were organised, and the build-up towards the winning goal, it was tactical. But then again, it just leaves Newcastle fans, they're frustrated again by the team's inconsistency. Some of them were booing at half-time, full-time, and then that just leads to the rising pressure on Eddie Howe after the result. It's just, the questions being asked about his future at the club and, after the mixed recent results. So, yeah, just summing it up, it just felt like a game Newcastle sort of drifted out of. And again, just that lack of urgency in the second half is just really what's sticking with myself and like the other fans.
Good stuff, Chloe. Thank you.
Well said, Chloe.
Well said.
Well said.
Pablo.
Very well said, Chloe. Some common sense. I think we found our next Newcastle United manager in Jeff. Either that or it's a match of the day.
I'll have to see you in the morning.
I'll take it, Darren, if you're not a true supporter. Come on now.
Aye, true.
Not just I'll resign anything.
I think a couple of my points have already been raised. I'll touch on them in a minute. I think this last week, despite all the kind of negative press that Eddie's been getting, we've been under fire as some fans. I think from the two games that I've been to see, I mean, Man City and Liverpool, the unwavering support. And even at Man City, Darren will concur with me. We were getting thumped. We knew we were going to get thumped. And we were still singing. We were still giving it our all. So no matter what any of us think, actually on the day, the support is there for Eddie, albeit maybe not on social media. I mean, I've noticed, I don't know if you agree with me, but it seems to be a real 50-50 split on kind of Eddie Howe on social media at the moment. And I'll definitely go along with what Martin says. The one thing I can work with anyone in life, never mind Eddie Howe, is honesty. And I think a lot of us feel, certainly I did, that he was kind of pulling the wool over our eyes. We were seeing absolute dross performances, albeit Wolves, and we're still getting told that we're playing all right and we're playing well. No, we weren't. So fair play to Eddie for that. Good on you. Showed your real side this week. And I think, Jeff, you were looking for funnies before. You need to go and watch that Hopkinson interview, mate. What was that? He has definitely read the room wrong. When you start hearing that you're going to win European Cups in 5 years and Premier Leagues, and you're thinking, is he watching the same stuff as me? I mean, obviously he's a PR man. He's paid to do that. He's got good financial results, but I think he needs to stick to booking Tina Turner concerts or whatever he used to do for a living. So, yeah, I mean, that left a bit of a salty taste in my mouth. But going on to the Brentford game, weirdly enough, I didn't actually think we played that bad. But I'm only saying that because of performances that I've seen over the last 6 weeks, month, maybe something like that. There were chances, good game for the neutral. We were on the wrong end of it. We were on the right end of it against Leeds and Bournemouth. It just shows to me how impotent we are up front and how fragile we've become at the back. I mean, at the start of the season, we based ourselves on an absolute solid backline. But I think the fragility at the back line at the minute, and it's strange to say because you've got Chow, you've got Botman, you've got Hall, So you've got, 3 out of your 4 best defenders and your so-called best goalkeeper, and we're shipping goals left, right, and centre. I mean, we conceded 10 last week. All I wanted from this performance was even a 0-0. A 0-0 draw would have done me perfect. And I thought Eddie would have drummed that into him, and that's what we would have got. But we didn't. We go again. I think the forward line, Eddie's trying his best to kind of move it about a bit, but you can only move what you've got. And one thing I keep thinking in my mind is where we are in the league. If I asked everyone on the panel tonight, who's the best manager in world football, 90% of you would probably say Pep Guardiola. And I asked myself, would Pep Guardiola do any better with his team than what Eddie's doing? And listen, I'm not singing Eddie's praises to the hills because he has made mistakes, massive mistakes. His inability to change, his inability to look at other options, lying to the fans as far as I see it. So listen, I'm not fluffing Eddie by any stretch, but where we sit at the moment, what else are we going to turn to? We're on a peak of a hill at the minute. We're still in the FA Cup, still in the European Cup. Once them two go, then the serious questions will turn. Then the serious argument, should Eddie go? Then that will happen. But I think at the minute, we've got to ride it. We've got to support it. Albeit, I hope he does something different and proves everyone wrong. But I think at the minute, I'm still with him because I don't see where we would go next. Because who's going to come into our project at the minute? No training ground, no real investment, a team that's wavering, aging. Who's really going to buy into that project that's better than Eddie Howe? I mean, there may be answers out there, I don't know. But I'm still really on the fence with it all at the minute, mate. I'll leave it there.
Okay, Kev?
Well said.
I'm struggling for words, to be honest, mate. The people who went before me pretty much hit the nail on the head. I totally agree with Martin in terms of the technical elements of our game is miles off what even a 5-year-old can do. Pass a ball with a bit of pop, a bit of pace. Can't even do that. We give the ball away in silly areas, transitioning into their attack to then be on the front foot. That's a complete flip or 360, whatever you want to call it, from how we were. We made teams look bad. Other teams are making us look even worse. So, fair play to Brentford, sorry. They done one on us again. That's a double they've done over us this year. Very well coached, I have to say. They were very organised, very structured, and got what they deserved, in my opinion. We didn't deserve anything out of that game. Yeah, we might have had flashes of 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, sort of regained possession of the ball. But when we got possession of the ball, it was sideways and backwards. Well, that for any opposition team, that's great for them because they can just sit in, play in a low block, mid to low block, and play on the counter attack, and that's what they did. They got a big target man in the Brazilian lad up front. Can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Thiago.
Yeah, Thiago, right. He's a target man. And Mom, again, jumping on what Mom was saying, was if that ball gets up to him, at least he's holding it up. At least he'll bring players into play and be a true 9, be a true centre forward. When the ball goes up into our final third, their final third, sorry, it comes immediately straight back. I tell players first contact, and we're talking about jumping and all the rest of it. Yeah, you jump, but you can't jump like a pencil because you'll just get clattered into in that, and you can't protect yourself. So I understand where George come from to a degree in terms of your arm and position and unnatural positions and all that crap, but you got to somehow protect yourself. And again, agree with Darren that way. I was coached as a kid. Get your arms up, protect yourself a little bit for, anybody coming in on the side. When it's just simple physics, you use your arms and you get up off the ground. But outside of that, it's a rinse and repeat. I was quite vocal within our chat throughout the game and things like that, which I very rarely do. I try to keep it off any social media platforms. I don't even touch it with a barge pole because I just can't bother. I haven't got the time. There's other things going on. There's more bigger things in my world than football. So I don't even bother. So I just keep it for this type of platform and let it all out, really.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not good enough. And we're shipping goals left and right. And it's again, you base yourself on a strong, basic defensive principle. What are Eddie Howe's principles now in the game? I have my principles. You have a club philosophy, what I follow and adopt. But what are his principles moving forward as a coach? I don't know. I didn't see much of the press conferences and stuff like that. I just completely disconnected myself, and I seen little tidbits here or there. And he looked at a broken man. He looks defeated. He looks a genuine broken man, and he's searching for answers. And I don't know where those answers are. To be perfectly honest, I genuinely don't. Yes, we can change the way we play, do this, do X, Y, Z. Of course we can. But are the outputs going to be the same? Are they going to be completely different? That takes time, and unfortunately, I don't think he has time. He needs time, but I don't think he's going to have it. Again, like I said, I just generally feel sorry for the man. To be perfectly honest, he looked broken, and then I've been in that position, granted different levels. But when it's on the downward trend, from an eyeball test and from playing and the performance outputs and whatever you want to say, you can just see you can just tell, you can feel it within yourself as in jobs and life. If you know you're not performing, it's going downwards. It's very hard to pick yourself back up and go again, and then go again and go again, and then again. Not, it's all about Martin tonight. But again, I don't go with the tired. I just touch on this. These players wanted it. If this is what they signed for this club, to play in every competition going, whatever it is, doesn't matter. If these players wanted that, because they'll all come out on their platforms, the agents, this, that, whatever, and the big names, I want to be in the highest level club competition going. I want to go and win this. Okay, well, go and fucking do it then. Go and do it. Go and prove that you want to do that. Are you just using us as a stepping stone to do that in another club? Is that how you see it? Oh, yes, I believe in the project. Yeah, the project for how long? How are you willing to give everything you have and actually be the Man Cities, be the Liverpools, be that? Or you just want to go somewhere different, actually sort of say, I'll just pad out my resume, my CV, and sort of move on to a different level, a different club? Because the grass is never always greener sometimes. Per Alexander Isak, look, he gets a broken leg. Look at that. He's done well. But it's football business. That's how it works. People move on. And I have got sentiment. I have got feelings and thoughts about Eddie Howe and about players. But if they move on, they move on. That's how it works. And we have to realize that. If Eddie goes, he goes. Look, he's done fantastically well, and I love him until I've got a hole in my. As long as I've got a hole in my arse. But at the same time, results mean results, and it's a business. And if we're not winning games, unfortunately, Eddie, it's time. And he'll realize that he's not stupid. He's an intelligent man. But like I said last week, he's on a very, very short rope, in my opinion. And I would say summer, and I think he'd be gone.
Okay, it's all about opinions, and I think you've all expressed your opinions very well. Two more to get through before we look ahead to the game tomorrow night at Spurs. Allan, how's Bounty, your cat?
I stroked him when the rain got to him later on, about 12 o'clock.
Good man.
I kept him warm later on. But I echo what most of the guys said on the show. I mean, especially what Martin said about tightness. There's only Adam and Chloe on here. They go nightclubbing for 3 days a week. They're never tired. It's all us old fogies here that should call West.
I believe it. I need to lie down for one night.
I mean, tiredness. They're fit young men, man, in the prime of their lives. They should never be, like tired, man. They're earning thousands and they're doing something they should enjoy. Getting to the game, Steve, I thought Hall and Bruno were fantastic amongst the rubbish that was. And it was hard to see Hall. I mean, after 20 minutes, guys, I was thinking, are we ever going to score apart from a corner or a penalty, which we did? We never looked like cutting them open. That's a real worry. I will call players out. I know George doesn't like to, but Whistler's a poor man's shoulder. Voldemort, bless him, must have been using the training manual of George Riley because he kind of jumped for toffee. And I thought Kieran Trippier was signing autographs in the Leazes end for the third goal because he was nowhere. I was saying, where is he? Where is he? Is he gone? But anyway, lads, it was awful. And it has been awful most of the season. So I will complain about Eddie Howe, but he's human. And he hasn't had a break for 18 months because of the mess he's left with. And Paul Mitchell leaving the club in the summer. He hasn't had a break for 18 months. And so he's tired. He looked a broken man. And like Martin said, for once he showed some honesty and contrition after the match. And it was nice to see that he knows he's making mistakes and it isn't good enough. And I do agree with Kevin. At the end of the day, come the end of the season, I don't think we'll get relegated, although I'll be looking at West Ham's score tomorrow. I think we'll survive and be where we are. But people keep shouting, well, the signings, some of them, like Darren said in the past, were rush signings. Voldemort was a rush signing. Ritter, I mean, what is he? Is he a striker? Is he a footballer? I'm still trying to work that one out. Probably one of the worst buys we've ever had for 55 million, unless he dramatically improves.
We've had worse than him, mate. We've had worse than Whistler.
Yeah, we have, Darren, but for the price.
For the price, I hear that. We've had worse things than
him. So I was left deflated leaving the ground on Saturday where we're going. But I do believe now's the time for... well, I've had me run-ins with Stu Penman, Steve, but he was spot on Ask Penman. The top brass have got to sort this out. I know maybe Jeff doesn't want a training ground, but I want spades in the ground for a new training ground. I want a proposal of a new stadium or proposal of the ground getting expansion. That'll lift the whole club, the whole fans that go in week in or out, that we're moving forward. I don't expect Eddie Howe to be here in 2 or 3 years' time. A lot of lads, everybody's backing Eddie Howe. So we should back Eddie Howe. He's given our first major trophy in 70 years. And we're, like George said, this reminds me so much of Bobby Robson. He's too old. He hasn't got a clue. He didn't bring his substitutes on till later. Reminds me so much of the great Sir Bobby Robson day. We get rid of him. Is anybody going to come? A top manager, I mean elite manager, going to come at the minute, like Pablo says, when we've come 4th, 5th and 7th. So we actually want elite manager to change that squad overnight with the restrictions, with PSR and whatever comes next season. He's going to have to be Houdini to beat Eddie Howe's record. Seriously, if we get rid of him, which I'm sure he'll go either this summer or next summer, then we've got to get the right man for. But he'll only get what we've got now because the powerhouses of Man City, Man United, Chelsea, Aston Villa fans, I tell you one thing, guys, will be absolutely shitting themselves at the minute with the 3 teams behind them because they'd be worried about getting Champions League football because their powerhouses have got the money there. And it wouldn't surprise me if the top 5 are Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, Man City and Arsenal, and Aston Villa finished 6th. Because that's how they've got it. I could go on and on. The 250 million spent. Eddie Howe has got to take the blame for that, a large amount of it. But at the end of the day, I sat back on Saturday and thinking, and then I saw the game against Man City, Liverpool, and I'm thinking, Liverpool have lost 2 less games than us, and they've won 2 more. And that's the thin line of success and failure and how we feel. We might feel totally different. We might feel worse, guys, after we might get beat off Tottenham tomorrow night and feel dreadful. And then the Eddie Howe calls will grow. But at the end of the day, I still believe in him. And I still believe he'll turn it round to an extent that we'll finish in a reasonable position. And then at the end of the season, assess what options. And if the management say, Eddie, thank you very much, and he walks, fine. And then the people who want Eddie Howe out have got their wish, but then the next manager has got some legacy to beat with the restrictions we've got and the squad we've got, lads. So I'm not down and out. I felt like jumping myself off the Empire State Building if Tom wants us to jump out of a window, because I felt like flying after hearing George and Steve during the week. I felt like jumping off the Empire State Building because it was all negative. And that David Hodgson, I mean, what a get going. Fucking get going. Sorry for my language. Get going with a training ground and with a stadium like Martin and the lad. Get spades in the ground. I'm reading a book now, Derek writes 30 years ago. There's a site for a new training ground under Sir John Hall at Wozenham. 30 years later, we're still waiting for the bugger. Get going, get moving, get the sponsorships in, and everybody on this platform will be happy. Then, as a club and a fan base, Chloe and Adam will have the benefits of that going forward. A brand new stadium or expand St James's. I'm not bothered, but show the ambition. That's why Eddie Howe is looking to get this, because there isn't ambition there off the top people. Don't forget, lads, Rubens are multi-billionaires as well. People forget about that. Let them pull their finger out. Never mind just the Saudis. They're one of the richest people in the country. So let's go and I'll let Adam on, because he's looking tired. Or he's not. He's been, but you know, calm down.
I think just something on that though, Alan. I think just something on that, right? Two things, but couple of things, right? The training ground and the other stuff. The other big question I've got is, where are the sponsorship deals?
Yes.
Where's the training kit? Where's the stadium sponsor? Where's whatever, right? Nothing's happened since Silverstone got the boot in the CEO's 100-day sweep, right? So that's a big issue. The thing about Eddie, you know, you said he's looking tired or whatever. Dude, he's getting 9 million quid a year. I don't want to hear that. I don't care, right? He's getting 9 million, 180 grand a week. Do your job, right? I sound like Roy King. Do your job.
Fair enough.
The other thing I was going to say, which I've completely forgotten about, but anyway, it'll probably come to us while Adam's talking. But yeah, listen, I hear what you're saying and I get what we're seeing from Eddie, but it's his job to get it changed, and he's earning a whopping salary. So, you know, if he's tired, then that's not my fault. Get it fixed.
Well, we're all tired, Martin, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. But
we've got to get on with it and do it the best.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with you, Martin.
Sorry, Adam.
No, I accept it, Martin. You know, we've got to have better. The team, the club, and the players need to do better for the fans on here and everywhere around the world. Yeah. And then I'll be as positive as George.
Okay, Adam. It's never easy going last, Adam, but you know, I'm sure you still got an opinion about what's gone on over the course of the last couple of days.
Aye, like I say, everyone's said the bit, and I like reading the comments as the guys are talking, and everyone is kind of on the same hymn sheet. But the thing that knocks me, I see some comments sometimes where they're Eddie Howe in or Eddie Howe out. If you dare to say you're an Eddie Howe out, you're clearly not a supporter of some people, which I think is totally wrong. I think it's all we do, come on here, we're all supporters, everyone's entitled to an opinion, and that's what makes this pod. That's why I enjoy this podcast and why people should enjoy it, because we're all entitled to an opinion, and that's football. That's what supporting a club is. Everyone has an opinion. For me and for the guys on the panel, the guys watching, all I wanted to be when I was little and a teenager was a footballer. And I wanted to play in black and white, and I wanted to score goals, or obviously being a goalkeeper, I was safe shot into the Gallagher end. I think these players in the higher ups aren't knowing what it is to wear black and white. Like, they shouldn't realise how fucking lucky they are to get to do that every day. And you've got all us lot who work 9 till 5, Monday till Friday, most who have struggled to make ends meet, especially around the Christmas time and things like that. And these guys are on multi-million pounds a year, and the tired bollocks, like, they should be the elite athletes. Like, I think they're so fortunate to be in a position where only 1% of footballers make it like that. I've played with thousands of players, like from being 4 to 27 years old, and I know one who's in the Premier League. That's how much the margin is to actually make it. Like, I remember how gutted I was when I got released from albeit Sunderland. But when I got released, like, I remember how painful that was. And you've got players now strutting around, carrying little frigging Louis Vuitton bags and thinking they own the place. And I think, fucking hell, lad, get a grip. You're going on that pitch to go to war for 90 minutes. Show it. Like, and that's just, like, that's the way I got raised by my dad, because that's how he was when he was a player. Like, you go out to war for 90 minutes and you need to show it. When we got dusted off the Macrams, the they played out the skin for 20 minutes against Chelsea. They had some identity back. They pressed. They kicked fuck out of Chelsea. And then they've went backwards again, and they've all got their heads up their arse thinking, oh, it's all right. I still collect my wage at the end of the week. Like, we pay our hard-earned money to go and watch the match or spend time with our pals or go and do it all and enjoy the weekend as much as we can around the football. And they're not giving it to us. And yes, I know you can't be 10 out of 10 every single week, but I think as a minimum, as a player, you aim for at least a 7. And they're not even aiming for a 7 out of 10 at the minute. And I can be quite vocal about Eddie Howe, how he's got no plan B. He reminds us a bit like Ange Postecoglou. And there is elements to that I do stand by. Like, I think he does get found out with his tactics. I think it happened at Bournemouth. And like I've said in the past, we're just lucky enough not to have the same standard size what Bournemouth have. But what the lads have said, the lads and lasses have said, like, you could tell he was a human in that press conference the other day. And you could tell that he was hurting. And for me, Eddie Howe understands what it is to be a Newcastle manager because you can tell it when he is sitting there and he is eventually speaking the truth now. But I think those players need to realise how fucking lucky they are in what it means to be a professional footballer, because we've all probably sat there when we've been little playing football in the back garden, and when you put your 2 jumpers down the street and everything like that, how fucking lucky they are, and they need to stop playing like that.
Okay, good stuff. And we're going to move on. I think give yourselves a round of applause. I think everyone's made some really valid points, and you know, as Adam says, you know, everybody on here is entitled to an opinion, whether you're how in, how out, whether you're against this or that. You know, we all have opinions, and that's the way to do it. That's the way to put it across, and that's why this show is successful and is enjoyed by the vast majority of people who subscribe to this channel. So we've got about
really good show tonight, I think.
Yeah, it has. It definitely has, and I think you guys have probably listened as well to the people in the comments, because the people in the comments have said, "Oh God, you know, getting a bit sick of this." But I think when you put yourselves across as you have done, and you've all had some pretty strong opinions tonight about everything. I think ultimately from my perspective, it's good. That's why I just sit back and listen. You know, the way that you have put yourselves across tonight, I think, has gone down well with the people out there. And if there's notable exceptions in the chat again, I know a lot of our moderators have like almost bypassed this show on a Monday night now because they don't like the negativity. But I don't think it's negative. I think what you've done, lads, is I think you've literally expressed how a good cross section of the fan base is feeling at the moment, and as I say, that is reflected in the comments tonight. So thanks for doing it. So we'll look ahead to Spurs tomorrow. And I know a lot of you have mentioned Eddie Howe and his demeanour after the match 30 odd hours ago, and rightly so, after keeping the team in the dressing room for 30 odd minutes and, you know, having a pop at them and you know, having it out or whatever they did in there. Today at the press conference, which was, you know, the shortest press conference we've had for a Premier League one, it was just over 14 and a half minutes. I think today, one question back to one or two questions, but yeah, it was quite short. I think Eddie looked a lot better. He looked a lot better. He was a lot better. He was a lot brighter, but he was also asked some fairly, you know, strong questions today about his future. And I think he just more or less, again, carried on from where he left off, but in a slightly more upbeat way of saying that, you know, if I ever felt that I wasn't doing my job correctly here, then, you know, the club is bigger than any individual, and, you know, I would walk away. So fair play to him. You know what I mean? Fair play to Eddie for saying that. And I think that's a card you can only play once, mind. I don't think that you could come out and say that again next week or the week after. I think that's him playing his cards, and he's played his cards close to his chest. We've mentioned this on press conferences for years now. The 4 years he's been here, he doesn't give much away. I think he laid it all on the line for us on Saturday, and I think today he's told us that if things do continue, and if he can't get it right, then he'll walk. He won't wait to be pushed. You know, maybe there will be that transition in the summer. Maybe we will find somebody new coming in, and maybe Eddie Howe will leave by mutual consent. But he may well pull it round. The team may well start putting the effort in, and you know, start functioning as a team and not as individuals. Some aren't functioning at all, and maybe we'll see this team, you know, rally again and have a good end of the season. Because as I did try to say on social media at the weekend, I wasn't happy clapping, not in a million years. It was a terrible game at the weekend. Bad defeat in a bad week, going out of the Carabao Cup as expected. getting thrashed against Liverpool when we had 20 odd minutes against them, and it is frustrating. But from my perspective, we still got the FA Cup to play for. There's still games to negotiate in the Champions League. I don't think for 1 minute we've got any chance of getting through past the last 16. But it would be nice to get into that last 16 with these 2 games against Qarabag. So let's focus on that. Let's try and get a win tomorrow night against Spurs. Let's try and get a win against Aston Villa next week in the FA Cup and get through to the next round and get a home draw in the next round. And let's try and get into the last 16 of the Champions League. That's where the focus has got to be at the moment. But let's look ahead to Spurs. Injury news, well, we didn't really get a great deal of updates. We know Anthony Gordon and Lewis Miley are certainly close. Joelinton, no chance of getting back for tomorrow by the looks of it. But Miley is close to a return. Gordon's close to a return. Adam, I'll come to you first, mate. What's your feelings on this, mate? You had to wait your turn to have a say. So give us your feelings on tomorrow night. And if Gordon and Miley are fit, would you like to see them back in?
Gordon, no, because I think he's one of the main players where I think he turns up, collects his new fancy contract wage, and then goes home. Miley, yes, because he gets it. Like I said before, he gets all this.
He's a young lad. Yeah,
local lad. I think tomorrow's game, results-wise, it's a bit of a roulette wheel, kind of what the score's going to be. I think for a neutral, you'd think that probably both teams might go for it, but I think both teams are just going to try not to lose rather than try to win. I think it's going to be an absolutely shite show, a 0-0 draw.
A 0-0 draw. Okay, Allan, coming to you next. I've got to say, with two teams with with the records that Newcastle and Spurs have got. Spurs terrible at home, Newcastle terrible away. I would say a draw is probably likely. I went 2-2 when I was speaking about it yesterday on the Three's a Crowd podcast. How are you feeling about tomorrow?
Well, Steve, like when the commentator said after the Man U game, which I was watching with Spurs, that Spurs haven't won a home game since December, I went, oh my God, we couldn't turn up. But I'm going for a 1-1. I'm praying and hoping for a win. It would be great. But I think, like Adam just said, I think there's 2 teams that dare not not win the game, dare not lose the game. So I'm going for a 1-1. And just to say that everybody in the chat here, we're all frustrated, like Bill Burnett said. But I'm going for a 1-1, and I'm praying for a home win. Really am. And it'll change the whole dynamics, lads. If we won tomorrow night, change the whole dynamics this season. Just one win.
Okay, Kev?
I completely agree with Allan. That was the best comment of the night. It's a game of roulette tomorrow night. You never know where the ball's going to drop. So it's 2 teams that are struggling. Tottenham are Tottenham, the phrase Spursy, right? So
we want their manager out, Kevin. They want their manager out.
That's what I was about to say. It's two managers fighting for their job and fighting for their teams. Yeah. And I agree with you, Allan, in that it's who doesn't lose. And Thomas Frank is not personally met him, but heard him say a lot of things through a previous job, whatever. But he's how he approaches things. It takes a lot of time for it to get across. Eddie Howe's had 4 years, so it should be easier for him to get his point across for tomorrow night. And I can see us going down there and turning everything around and getting a 2-1 win. Just because it's Newcastle United and that's how we do stuff. Just for our heart rate and blood pressure and all the rest of it, just because it's Newcastle United. Why not?
I'm on the statins already, Kevin.
I mean, look, it could be complete reversal of that. It could be anything, you don't know. But I'm going in with the positivity of it, where we've had probably the worst week of the season, getting knocked out the Carabao Cup. We're getting slapped off Liverpool. We've got beat up Brentford at home. So why can't we turn it around? Like you said, Allan, it's one game where it could change the season and give us a bit more momentum. So I'll go with probably a very unconvincing 2-1 win.
Okay. Pablo.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? I think Tottenham are basically the Cockney version of us at the minute, aren't they? Doing well in Europe, struggling in the league. I think, I don't know, there isn't ultimately, we need to stop the rot. My whole desire is we stop the rot. I think I don't think there's a situation where our defence have a clean sheet. So therefore, it's going to have to be a high scorer. Do I see us scoring a lot? Probably not. I have no clue about this game whatsoever. I would suggest it's going to be a goal-scoring draw. I think Tottenham probably will pulling the trigger on Thomas Frank because they're very trigger happy usually, aren't they? I think our club are a little bit better than theirs, shall we say. I think we have given Eddie a chance and we will give Eddie a chance. So 2-2, I reckon, mate.
2-2. Chloe?
Yeah, I think it could go either way, couldn't it? But I agree. I think it's gonna be more positive and go for a 2-1 win.
2-1 win. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeff, coming to you now, Jeff. Just a prediction, please, and Rex, of course. Yes.
Well, I can get Rex in the shot. There we are.
There's Rex.
Yes, it's I always go 3-0, and I think the rot set in with that damn sarong that Beckham appeared in. That's when it all went wrong. The whole world went mad with bloody Beckham sarong. That's what it is. And I would say that long COVID, I sleep. I only am awake for 2.25 hours. So I feel for anybody who's had COVID, and that young man's had, and Eddie's had COVID, so he's probably still a bit ill. Yes, so that's my and 3-0.
3-0. That's great, Jeff. That's all I needed. Martin.
I think whoever plays football will win it, and it could go either way. So neither of us can defend. We can both score. I think the thing I would probably say that worries me slightly is we never normally do well at the back against Dominic Solanke. And I think he could be a problem for us tomorrow evening. But I'll go for a 1-1 draw.
Okay. Darren?
I wouldn't play goal. I'll leave him back in Newcastle because he needs his haircut probably. Nowadays, I think the players know. I think the players know how shit they played on Saturday. So I am expecting a reaction. I think Eddie will drill it into them. And like Adam said, the best thing I think you want commitment. You want 100% commitment. Well, no, when we play football, we bust the gut to play football, and I want that off of them tomorrow. I want them busting the gut 110%, and I'm gonna be positive. 2-1 win.
2-1 win. Okay, George.
Before I say anything, can I compliment the two youngest players on the panel, two youngest members of the panel, who said so much common sense tonight, Adam and Chloe. Thank you both very much.
They're the future, George. They're the future.
If anything lifts me spirits, it's to hear two relatively new supporters. Showed me in my 80th year as a supporter that there's still some hope out there. So that thank you very much, both of you. And Adam's call to go to war, that's exactly what's needed. Yeah. It is. You do go to war. I mean, sorry to go on too long, but I had two women in my life, that early life that mattered, my wife and me mother, and neither would come and watch us play. They seen us once, and then they never would come back because they said the bloke that was on the pitch wasn't there, George. Well, that's because I wanted to win. So I want Newcastle to win tomorrow night, and I think it'll be a 2-1 win.
Okay, good stuff, folks. Everybody tonight, thank you for joining us. Adam, Allan, Kevin, Pablo, Chloe, Jeff, Martin, Darren, George. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to the moderators who were here tonight. And I will be back in the morning at this very early time of 8:30 before I set off to Spurs to do a quick Q&A. So look forward to seeing you all then. Take care, guys.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
The return of the Entertainers is a walking football match that takes place at Gateshead Leisure Centre on Saturday, the 6th of June 2026, in aid of Age UK North Tyneside. Sponsored by Shout Digital and Darren Baldwin Funerals. Tickets available from our website or from Woucher. There's also an opportunity for you to play in the game, either with or against the legends. Go to our website, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk, for more details. 29th of January 2027 sees an evening with Beardsley, Cole and Ferdinand at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House, hosted by John Gibson. Tickets are on sale now from the box office 0191 243 1171 or Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk or directly from us at our website. Northern Horizon is a Blake 7 convention in aid of Age UK North Tyneside. Tickets available from our website. And Rebel Base Northeast, the Star Wars fan convention, Sunday the 2nd of August at the Copthorne Hotel. Tickets available on our website. The Craze, Fred Dinage, Ronnie, Reggie and me takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House, box office 0191 243 1171 or Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk. That takes place Wednesday the 11th of November at 7:30. We've also got some books available on our website. Will Scott's popular entertainers book, 92 to 97, Kevin Keegan's Legacy, is available now. And The Promoter and the Photographer, 25 years of bringing the stars to Tyneside, all proceeds going to Age UK. All books available, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com, or contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to United Group Travel, our fanzine sponsor. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2-crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. Hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach. All excursions included. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com or telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Deposits from £50 per person. A big thanks to Media Arts. Their website, www.media-arts.co.uk. Email info@media-arts.co.uk or telephone 0191 637 5061. If you want to help support the channel, then you can click the subscribe button. We still do 7 shows a week. It is free. Hit the thumb up to like the video and click share to share to your social media. A big thanks to Sports Social Podcast Network. You can listen to us on the road, on this network, or by tuning into iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. You can also join the channel by hitting the join button on YouTube or go to our website, nufcmatters.co.uk. You can pay a one-off fee of £25 and you'll receive a membership card, a beer mat, a fridge magnet, a key ring, a badge and a pen. £25, nufcmatters.co.uk.